Hi, it's Miss House. In this lesson, we're going to talk about some other kinds of things you will encounter when you're solving equations. Now, we've already talked about the addition property of equality. So that's the one where if you have something added to a variable, you can solve the equation by subtracting that number from both sides. Or you can do subtraction as well. So subtraction is covered under this property. So if you have subtraction, x minus 2 equals 3, you can add to both sides. X equals 5. So the addition property of equality says you may add or subtract a number from both sides of an equation and maintain your equality, and that helps us to find the value of the variable. Then, of course, there is also the multiplication and division property. We just call it the multiplication property of equality. And this is just a review of what we've done so far. And this will help us also with division. So if we've got multiplication, like negative 3x equals 12, we can divide both sides and solve for the variable. So we divide both sides by negative 3 here, and we get x is negative 4. And if we have division, so let's say I have x over 7 equals negative 21. I'm dividing by 7, so I can multiply by 7. But remember, the property of equality says you have to do both sides. You will change the value of the equation if you don't do both sides. So here, 7 divided by 7 leaves a 1x. And then we'll just multiply 21 times 7, negative 147. So we're doing opposite operations. Now, when you have more than one, so let's say we have equations with 2 steps. So in these equations, you'll have something like 3x minus 1 equals negative 7. So we've got over here with our variable, we have multiplication and we have subtraction. So what we're going to do is we're going to undo the subtraction first. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides. So negative 7 plus 1 is negative 6. And now I've got multiplication, so I'm going to divide on both sides. And that gives me the value of the variable is negative 2. That will make that equation true. We might have x divided by 4 plus 2 equals 16. Okay. In this case, we have addition and division. We'll do subtraction first. So you start away from the variable. That multiplication and division is always that last thing that you're going to do. Oops. Fix that. So here I would get x over 4. Now 2 and negative 2, that's 0. Just like here, that's a 0. All right? So we have to make sure we do it on both sides. 16 subtract 2 is 14. Now I've got division by 4. The opposite of division is multiplication. So I'll multiply by 4. That leaves me with 4 divided by 4 is 1x. And then 14 times 4, 56. So those are two-step equations. Now we want to look at some equations with parentheses. Like terms and variables on both sides. So these are multi-step equations, and you may encounter any of these things in addition to what we just saw. So you might have to use the addition property or the multiplication property, and you might have two operations, but you may also encounter parentheses or like terms that have to be combined, and we have to deal with variables being on both sides of the equation. So we're just going to take a general approach to this, and so here are our steps. Number 1, remove parentheses by applying the distributive property. Okay. So if you have something like 6x plus 2, you have to multiply the 6 times the x and the 6 times the 2. Now, if you've got a minus 6, x minus 1, you got to multiply negative 6 times x, negative 6x, and negative times a negative, negative 6 times negative 1 is plus 6. So you've got to multiply that number on the outside of the parentheses times everything in the parentheses and be aware of your signs. So we do that first. The second thing we do is simplify each side. Remember, your equations have two sides. You got something on the left, an equal sign, and something on the right. So you're going to simplify each side by combining like terms. So if you've got multiple x terms, you combine them. You have multiple numbers, you combine them. Now, once you do that, we're going to pick a side for our variables. So we're going to move the variable terms to either side. Now, I will tell you that as I do these, you'll notice I always put mine on the left side. Okay? And it's just a habit that I have. You can go to either side, but I just always go to the left. Okay? And then after we move the variables, we're going to move numbers to the other side. That is, if we have any that need to be moved. And so, in the way I will do it, I'll always move my numbers to the right side. Okay? And then we will divide or multiply by the coefficient. That's the number in front of the x or the y or whatever your variable is. Okay, so these 5 steps will help us. We'll get the parentheses done first. We'll simplify each side. If we have any like terms, move the variables to one side, the numbers to one side, and then after that, all we have to do is multiply or divide, whichever is the opposite of what's being done to the variable. All right, so let's do some examples of these. Example 1, solve for the unknown in the equation, 3 parentheses x minus 3 equals 12. So that's that distributive property we talked about. So I have to do 3 times x and 3 times minus 3, that's going to be a minus 9, equals 12. So we don't have any like terms. We want to move the numbers to the other side. We've got variables just on the left, so we're going to add that 9 to both sides. And that's going to give us 3x equals 21. And now the last step is always going to be multiply or divide. In this case, since x is being multiplied, we're going to divide both sides by that 3. So x is equal to 7. Always start with parentheses. In number 2, solve for the following equation. 3 parentheses 5n plus 10 equals 61. So I've got to clear these parentheses by distributing first. That's going to give me 15n plus 30 equals 61. I'm going to subtract 30 from both sides. That's going to give me 15n equals 61 minus 30 is 31. Divide by 15, and we are going to get a fraction this time. Our n is equal to 31 over 15. Now, if you think that's weird, go ahead and check it to see if that's right or not. So I'm going to check this by putting, instead of the n, I'm going to put 5 times 31 over 15 plus 10 equals 61. So order of operations, we do what is in the parentheses first. So I have to go 5 into 15 gives me a 3. Okay, so I've got 3 times 31 over 3 plus 10 equals 61. Now, I could get a common denominator in there, which is what I'm going to go ahead and do, because we want to do what's in the parentheses first. So I need the 10 to have a denominator of 3. Now, it currently has a denominator of 1. So I multiply the bottom by 3. I must multiply the top by 3, so that will become a 30. So 30 over 3. And so that's 3 times, and if I add these, I get 61 over 3. And when you multiply fractions, you can reduce a factor that's in the bottom and in the top, so we get 61 equals 61, and that is true. So you don't have to check your equations, but if you do, especially if you get a weird answer like that, you can check it and confirm that that is in fact the right answer. Example number 3. Solve the following equation. 2 subtract, and in parentheses, x minus 6, close parentheses, equals 16. Well, that's like a negative 1 there. So we've got to go 2 minus x plus 6, because I got a negative and a positive. That makes a negative x. A negative and a negative. That makes a positive 6. Equals 16. Now, this is the first one we've had where we have like terms. Look, I have a 2 and a 6, so that's a negative x plus an 8. 2 and 6 is 8, equals 16. Now, something's being added to my variable, so I'll subtract 8 from both sides, and I will get negative x equals 8. And remember, that's like a negative 1 there in front of that x. So I'm going to divide both sides by negative 1. Remember, we divide by the exact coefficient. That is whatever's in front of the x or the variable. So x is equal to negative 8. So our answer for that is negative 8. Number 4, solve the equation 7 plus 4, parentheses, y minus 6 equals 18. Now, you might be tempted to add the 7 plus the 4, but you have to do multiplication before addition. Okay, remember from order of operations, you always do parentheses, exponents, multiply or divide left to right, add or subtract. So before I do this addition right here, I've got to do this multiplication right here. Okay, so I'm going to distribute that 4 throughout. So I get 7 plus 4y minus 24 equals 18. So see how I have a 4 times y and a 4 times negative 6. Now I have some like terms. The like terms I have are the 7 and the 24. So I add those together and I get 4y, and that's going to be minus 17, use your calculator if you need to, equals 18. Now I need to add 17 to both sides. I'll get 4y equals 35. Divide by 4 on both sides, y is 35 over 4. So we got another fraction, and we could check it if we wanted to, but as long as you follow the steps, you don't have to check it. It's just a good idea to check it. Example 5. 13 equals 9, subtract 2 parentheses 2x minus 6. So once again, don't be tempted to do the 9 minus 2. You have to do your multiplication first. So parentheses first, just like order of operations say. So that's minus 4x, it's negative 2 times 2x, and then a negative 2 times a negative 6 is a plus 12. So simplify each side. Well, 13 is just 13. Here I have a negative 4x and a plus 21. Okay, now I'm going to leave my variable on the right-hand side because there's only one variable in this equation. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 21 from both sides. I get negative 8 equals negative 4x. Then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4, and I'll get x is equal to 2. Because a negative 4 divided by negative 4 leaves me with a 1x, or just x. And negative 8 divided by negative 4 is a positive 2. Because remember, a negative divided by a negative equals a positive. Example 6. So we have 11x minus, in parentheses, 3x minus 4, close parentheses, equals 28. Very similar to the last problem, except that's an 11x. So this is like a minus 1, so that's a minus 3x and a plus 4, because negative positive is a negative, negative and a negative is a positive, equals 28. Now this time, 11x minus 3x simplifies to 8x plus 4 equals 28. I'm going to get that x by itself, but I'm going to start by moving that 4. So I'm going to subtract the 4 from both sides, and anything you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. And I end up with 8x is 24, divided by 8, x equals 3. Number 7, solve the following equation. 19x minus 4, parentheses 5x minus 8 equals 37. That's going to give me 19x minus 20x, because I have a negative and a positive, plus 32, because I have a negative and a negative, equals 37. So 19 minus 20 is negative 1x, and you don't have to write the 1, but I like to, plus 32 equals 37. Subtract 32 from both sides. Negative 1x equals 5. We don't need a negative 1x. Since it's being multiplied by negative 1, we'll divide both sides by negative 1, and we get positive 1x, which is what we're trying to find, is negative 5. So my answer is negative 5. Example 8, solve the equation. 4 parentheses 5t minus 7, close parentheses, equals 31t plus 8. And here we have variables on both sides for the first time. So we proceed as we did before, and we remove those parentheses by doing the distributive property. So 4 times 5t is 20t, and 4 times negative 7 is minus 28, equals 31t plus 8. Now, I like to put my variables on the left, so I'm going to move this 31t by doing a minus 31t on both sides. And that's going to give me a negative 11t. Do it on your calculator if you need to. Oh, that's not right. Let's see. No, that's right. 31 minus 20 is negative 11, yeah. Minus 28 equals, now remember this is 0, That was the whole reason we did that. It's equal to 8. Now we need to add 28 to both sides. We get negative 11t equals 36. It's being multiplied, so we need to divide by negative 11. And so t is equal to negative 36 over 11. We usually put that negative even with the bar or in the top. We rarely would leave it in the denominator. Number 9. Solve the equation. 3 subtract, in parentheses, 4x minus 18 equals 6 times x minus 3. So that's 3 minus 4x plus 18 equals 6x minus 18. I have some like terms on the left-hand side. I've got a 3 and an 18. Those are numbers, so they're like terms. So I've got 21 minus 4x, and you can put negative 4x plus 21. Either order is fine. 6x minus 18. Now, I like to put my variables on the left, so I'm going to move my 6x by subtracting 6x from both sides. So that gives me 21 minus 10x, because look, negative 4, negative 6 is negative 10, equals just the negative 18 because opposites add to 0. Now I need to get the numbers on the other side, right? I've got the variable on the left, so this 21's got to be a minus 21 on both sides. I get a negative 10x equals a negative 39. Same signs, add and keep the sign. And last step, always divide by the coefficient. So we get x equals negative divided by negative is a 39 over 10. Now this is, oh, and I didn't notice this. Let's go back. Let me just double check something real fast. Okay, notice here, and we'll have to go back to example 8 also, but notice what this says. I just noticed proper fraction or a mixed number. This is an improper fraction where the top is bigger than the bottom. So they want us to go ahead and change that to a mixed number by going 10 goes into 39 3 times with 9 left over. So it's 3 9/10. So they want us to write 3 9/10, not the 39 over 10. That means we need to go back to this last one, number 8, and go 11 goes into 36. And I know it's going to be a negative, all right? It's going to be a negative because we got a positive and a negative. And so that's going to go 3 times. 3 times 11 is 33. And I have 3 left over, so 3 3/11. So it's negative 3 3/11. On a test, you would get credit for either one. I'd have to go back and look at it for you. If you take the pencil paper test, I'll take either one. The main thing is, for my math lab to accept it, we have to follow the instructions, okay? Even though negative 36 over 11 is equivalent to negative 3 3/11, they said proper fraction. That means the numerator is less than the denominator, or a mixed number. And example 10. So here I have 11 plus 3, parentheses, 7 minus 5x, close parentheses, equals 12 minus 10x. Again, it's very tempting to want to add the 11 and the 3, but we have to make sure we distribute that 3 first. So 11 plus 21 minus 15x, so I'm going 3 times 7, 3 times negative 5x, equals 12 minus 10x. So I do have some like terms over here. That's going to be 32 minus 15x equals 12 minus 10x. Because I just combined the ones that were like terms, 11 and 21 adds to 32. Now, I like my variables on the left, so I see on the right I have a minus 10x. So I'm going to go plus 10x here and plus 10x here. And so I get 32 minus 5x, negative 15 plus 10, opposite signs, subtract. You get a 5, you have more negatives, so it's going to be a negative 5. Equals, these are opposites, they add to 0. So all I have left is a 12. So now I need to subtract the 32 because I want to isolate the term with the x. I got to get the numbers on the same side over there. So a negative 5x is a negative 20. And the last thing we do is we divide by that coefficient of negative 5. And we get x equals positive 4. Because we have a negative divided by negative, which is a positive.